My brother called me selfish for not lending him money, so I sent him a spreadsheet of the $85,000 he already owed. My name is Marlo, and I teach 7th grade English because I believe in structure. Grammar has rules, sonnets have meters, and stories have arcs. For the last 22 years, my life's arc has been titled The Reliable One. It's a story written by my family, starring me as the silent bank, the emotional shock absorber, the wall my brother Liam could always lean on until the mortar cracked. The spreadsheet wasn't born of malice. It was born of a 19-year-old girl's desperate need for control, giving her little brother $500 for textbooks and needing to see that sacrifice acknowledged somewhere, even if only in a hidden Excel file on her laptop. It was my secret memoir. Every loan was a chapter where I was the ghostwriter of his life, my dreams deferred to fund his latest fantasy. He called me selfish. That was the word that broke the dam. Not cheap or unreasonable. Selfish. It was the one accusation that could unravel the very fabric of my identity. So I decided to show him what selfishness truly looked like. It looked like an $85,000 tab. It's a Tuesday in late September, the kind of crisp autumn day where the light comes through my classroom windows at exactly the right angle to make dust motes look like floating gold. I'm standing at the whiteboard, marker in hand, talking to my 7th graders about the power of a single, well-chosen word to change an entire narrative. We're analyzing Emily Dickinson, and I'm explaining how one unexpected verb can crack open a poem's meaning like a walnut. My phone, face down on my desk, lights up. I ignore it. Professional boundaries. The kids are engaged, debating whether hope perches or sits and why it matters. The phone buzzes again. And again. During the transition to independent work, I glance at the screen. 3 texts from Liam. Mar. Epic opportunity. Boutique dog grooming van franchise. It's a license to print money. Need $5,000 for the franchise fee. The van's already in the driveway. Call me ASAP. My heart doesn't sink. That would imply surprise, a descent from some higher emotional altitude. No, my heart hardens. It calcifies. It becomes a stone that drops straight down through my chest and settles somewhere near my stomach. It's the same script, different prop. The food truck that became a storage unit full of rotting equipment. The cryptocurrency mining operation that became a closet full of obsolete graphics cards. The vintage clothing resale business that became my garage full of moldy peacoats. I don't call him back during my lunch period. I grade papers with a mechanical precision that my students would find terrifying. When the final bell rings and my classroom empties, I sit in the silence for a full 10 minutes before I pick up my phone. He answers on the first ring, his voice caffeinated with manic optimism. Mar. Did you see my texts? This is it. This is the one. I can feel it. I let him talk. I've learned over the years that interrupting Liam mid-pitch is like trying to stop a freight train with a hand gesture. He describes the van, a converted Mercedes Sprinter with custom stainless steel tubs and a hydraulic lift table. He describes the franchise model, the protected territory, the existing client base of Upper West Side poodle owners who treat their dogs like investment portfolios. He describes his vision, a fleet of vans, a grooming empire, a lifestyle brand. And the best part, he says, his voice dropping into a conspiratorial whisper, is that I've already convinced them to hold the territory for me. But I need the franchise fee by Friday. $5,000, March. That's nothing compared to what this will return. I'll pay you back in 3 months, tops. I close my eyes. I can see the spreadsheet behind my eyelids, each row a memory, each cell a small death of my own dreams. No, I say. The word feels both foreign and powerful on my tongue, a piece of expensive chocolate, dark and bitter. There's a pause. What? No, Liam. I can't lend you the money. Can't or won't? His voice has changed, the optimism curdling into something sharper. Both. I'm saving for a house. I've been saving for 3 years. I'm close to having enough for a down payment, and I can't derail that plan. A house? He laughs, a short bark of disbelief. Mar, you can delay that. Houses aren't going anywhere. But this opportunity, this specific territory, this exact van, it's now or never. My answer is no, Liam. I'm sorry. You're not sorry, he says, and hangs up. I sit in my empty classroom, surrounded by posters about dangling modifiers and the hero's journey, and I feel something shift inside me. It's not quite relief. It's more like the feeling you get when you finally pull out a splinter that's been embedded in your thumb for days, the sharp sting of extraction followed by the strange lightness of its absence. Sunday dinner at our mother's house has been a sacred ritual since our father died 8 years ago. Every week, without fail, unless one of us is actively hospitalized or out of state. Mom makes pot roast or lasagna or her famous chicken piccata, and we eat at her dining room table, the one Dad refinished the summer before his heart attack, and we pretend we're still a functional family unit. I arrive at 5:30 with a bottle of wine and a sense of impending doom. Liam's car is already in the driveway, the Honda Civic I co-signed for after the Mercedes incident, the one I'm still technically on the hook for if he defaults. I take 3 deep breaths in my car before I go inside. Mom is in the kitchen, and Liam is already at the table, slouched in his chair with the particular posture of a wounded martyr. He doesn't look at me when I come in. Doesn't say hello. Just stares at his phone with theatrical intensity. Marlo, sweetheart. Mom kisses my cheek, takes the wine. How was your week? Fine. Busy. We started our poetry unit. Dinner is an exercise in excruciating small talk. Mom chatters about her book club, her neighbor's hip replacement, a sale at Macy's. I contribute where appropriate. Liam says nothing. He pushes food around his plate with his fork, sighs heavily at irregular intervals, and radiates aggrievement like a space heater radiates warmth. Finally, Mom can't take it anymore. Liam, honey, what's wrong? You've barely touched your food. He looks up, and I see he's been preparing for this moment. His eyes are slightly red, his expression carefully calibrated between hurt and noble suffering. Nothing, Mom. I'm fine. You're not fine. Tell me what's wrong. He glances at me, then away. I don't want to make dinner uncomfortable. Liam. Mom's voice has that mother alarm quality, the frequency that cuts through all deflection. Tell me. He sighs, sets down his fork. I had an incredible business opportunity this week. A really solid one, not like the others. I did all the research, I ran the numbers, I found the perfect territory. But I needed $5,000 for the franchise fee. Mom looks at him, then at me, then back at him. I can see her doing the math, following the invisible thread between us. I asked Marlo for a loan, Liam continues, his voice soft and reasonable. Just $5,000. I would have paid her back with interest. But she said no. Oh, Mom says. I understand. I get it. She's saving for a house. That's important. I just thought. He trails off, shakes his head. I guess some families support each other's dreams, and some families don't. The words hang in the air like smoke. Mom is looking at me now, her expression confused, vaguely disappointed. Marlo, she says gently, $5,000 is a lot of money, but if Liam has a real opportunity. It's fine, Mom. Liam raises a hand, stops her. I don't want Mar to feel guilty. It's her money. She earned it. She gets to decide how to spend it. He pauses, looks directly at me for the first time all evening. It's always been about you, Marlo. Your perfect, orderly little life. Your plans, your savings, your future. I get it. You're just, you know. What? I hear myself ask. He shrugs, spears a piece of broccoli. Selfish. The word lands not as an insult, but as a blasphemy against my entire existence. Selfish. Me. The girl who gave him textbook money while eating ramen for a month. The woman who canceled a vacation to Mexico so he could make rent. The sister who has been his safety net, his bank, his backup plan for 15 years. I don't argue. I don't defend myself. Instead, I feel something cold and clear crystallize in my chest, like water flash freezing into ice. I give a small, tight smile. Okay, Liam. I stand up. Mom looks alarmed. Marlo, where are you going? We haven't had dessert. I need to go. Thank you for dinner, Mom. It was lovely. I kiss her cheek, grab my purse, and leave. I don't look at Liam. I don't slam the door. I simply exit, as quietly and efficiently as I've exited every conflict in my life, the reliable one who never makes scenes, never raises her voice, never demands to be seen. But this time, as I drive home through the darkening streets, I know something has changed. The revenge is no longer an option, a passive fantasy I entertain while grading papers. It is a necessity. It is inevitable. It is already in motion. In my apartment, I don't cry. I feel a terrifying, crystalline calm, the kind of clarity that comes when you finally stop fighting against the current and let yourself be pulled under. Selfish. If that's the role he's given me, I will play it with the precision of a master. I pour myself a glass of wine, sit down at my kitchen table, and open my laptop. The spreadsheet is there, waiting for me like an old friend. I created it 15 years ago, when I was 19 and gave Liam his first loan. I was a sophomore in college, working 2 part-time jobs, and he was a senior in high school who needed textbooks because Mom couldn't afford them that semester. I gave him $500, half my savings at the time, and I started the spreadsheet not out of any expectation of repayment, but because I needed to see the sacrifice acknowledged somewhere, even if only in a hidden Excel file. Over the years, the spreadsheet grew. It became my secret memoir, my shadow ledger. Every loan was a chapter where I was the ghostwriter of his life, my dreams deferred to fund his latest fantasy. I never showed it to anyone. I never mentioned it. It was my private record of a public martyrdom. But tonight, it's no longer a record. Tonight, it's an arsenal. I don't just polish the numbers. I weaponize the memories in the notes column. This is where the revenge becomes personal, where raw data transforms into emotional testimony. I spend 3 hours on it, opening old journals, checking old bank statements, reconstructing the context around each transaction. September 2009. $500. College textbooks. Repaid, 0. Note, lived on ramen and peanut butter for a month to cover this. He went to a Radiohead concert that same weekend. November 2010. $1,200. Security deposit for apartment. Repaid, 0. Note, I was saving for a study abroad program in London. Gave him the deposit instead. Never went to London. August 2012. $3,000. Emergency rent, 3 months back rent. Repaid, 0. Note, his bandmates skipped town and left him holding the lease. He sobbed on my couch for 2 days. I missed my best friend's bachelorette party in Nashville to console him. March 2014. $2,500. Business startup costs, food truck. Repaid, 0. Note, the food truck never opened. Equipment is still in a storage unit I'm paying for. May 2017. $12,000. Car down payment. Repaid, 0. Note, canceled my trip to Tulum with college friends. Told them my passport was lost because I was too embarrassed to admit I was broke. He totaled the car 6 months later. October 2019. $7,800. Bail money and legal fees. Repaid, 0. Note, DUI. Mom doesn't know about this. I kept it quiet to protect him. He promised he'd stop drinking. October 2021. $15,000. Mom's roof repair. Repaid, 0. Note, the roof was leaking into her bedroom. He said he'd pay for it but didn't have the cash flow. I paid the contractor directly. He took all the credit. Mom called him her hero at Thanksgiving. I said nothing. And on and on. 15 years of loans, emergencies, investments, bailouts. 15 years of my money flowing in one direction, from my account to his problems, from my future to his present. The total, formatted in bold red at the bottom of the spreadsheet, $85,247. I add a cover page. A title, a quantitative analysis of selfishness, a comprehensive review of financial transactions between siblings, 2009 to 2024. I include a summary paragraph explaining that this document represents a complete accounting of all monetary loans provided by me to Liam over a 15-year period, with no repayment received on any loan. Purpose of this document, to provide context for the recent characterization of the lender as selfish for declining to extend additional credit. I export it as a PDF. The file is beautiful in its brutality, clean fonts, perfect alignment, professional formatting. It looks like a financial report, which I suppose it is. A report on the financial and emotional bankruptcy of our relationship. I don't just email it to Liam. That's not enough. That would be a private shaming, a conversation between siblings that could be spun, reinterpreted, dismissed. I know my brother. Within an hour of receiving it, he'd be on the phone with Mom, crying, explaining how I'm exaggerating, how I'm twisting things, how I've been keeping score like some kind of psychopath. No. If I'm going to burn this bridge, I'm going to make sure everyone sees the flames. I create 2 emails. One to Liam. One to our mother. The subject line is identical for both, a quantitative analysis of selfishness. The body of both emails is blank. No defense. No explanation. No preamble. Just the attached PDF, 43 pages of evidence, waiting to be opened like a bomb. My cursor hovers over the send button. This is the moment. This is the point of no return. Once I send this, there's no taking it back. The family dynamic that has defined my adult life will detonate. The role I've played for 22 years, the reliable one, the responsible one, the one who never asks for anything in return, will be obliterated. I think about my 7th graders, about the poetry unit we're studying. I think about Emily Dickinson, who lived her whole life in her father's house, who wrote her poems on scraps of paper and hid them in drawers, whose voice was only fully heard after she died. I think about all the writers we teach who found their power by finally telling the truth, no matter the cost. I click send on Liam's email. The whoosh sound is satisfying, final. I click send on Mom's email. The second whoosh is even better. The click of the mouse is the sound of a cage door unlocking. I close my laptop, finish my wine, and go to bed. I sleep better than I have in 15 years. My phone starts buzzing at 6:47 in the morning. I'm in the shower, and I can hear it vibrating on my bathroom counter like an angry wasp trapped under a glass. By the time I get out and check it, there are 11 text messages from Liam and 4 missed calls from Mom. Liam's texts are a symphony of unhinged rage. What the fuck, Marlo? You sent this to Mom? You psycho. You've been holding a grudge for 15 years? Mom is hysterical. You've ruined everything. I read them while drinking my coffee. I feel nothing but a distant, clinical interest, like I'm reading texts meant for someone else. The rage doesn't touch me. It can't. I'm armored in truth. Mom calls again while I'm getting dressed for work. I let it go to voicemail. She calls again. Voicemail. On the 3rd call, I answer. Marlo. Her voice is high and tight, barely controlled. What is the meaning of this? This document you sent me? It's self-explanatory, Mom. Self-explanatory? Marlo, this is so clinical. So cold. How could you keep track of every penny like this? He's your brother. Yes. He is my brother. The brother who called me selfish for not giving him more money. But this, she makes a sound somewhere between a sob and a laugh. $85,000? This can't be right. The spreadsheet is accurate. Every transaction is documented. I have bank statements, receipts, text messages. If you'd like me to send supporting documentation, I'm happy to do so. Marlo, how could you do this to family? The question hangs there, the same question asked by every family member who enables dysfunction, who mistakes keeping the peace for keeping the family intact. I didn't do anything, Mom, I say quietly. I just showed you what was already done. I hang up. My hands are steady. I feel powerful and strange, like I've been speaking a foreign language my whole life and have suddenly remembered my mother tongue. I go to work. I teach my classes. We're analyzing Robert Frost, and I have a moment of dark humor when we discuss how the poem is actually about regret and self-justification, not brave choices. My phone buzzes throughout the day. I silence it. During my lunch period, I block Liam's number for 24 hours. I need space from the chaos to feel my own clarity. The voicemails from Mom pile up. I don't listen to them. The evidence has been presented. The jury is deliberating. There's nothing more I need to say. Mom calls again that evening. I'm making dinner, pasta with vegetables, a glass of white wine, and I almost don't answer. But something in me softens. She's a victim in this too, in her own way. A victim of her own willful blindness. Marlo, she says when I answer. Her voice is different now. Smaller. Can we talk? I mean really talk. Not like this morning. I've been looking at the document all day. I wait. The roof, she says finally. Liam told me he paid for the roof. I know. And the car. He said he saved up for the down payment himself. He didn't. And all those times he said he was doing well, that his businesses were taking off. Her voice cracks. Was any of it true? I could be kind here. I could soften it. But kindness has been my default for too long, and look where it got me. No, Mom. None of it was true. Every time he told you he was succeeding, he was actually borrowing money from me to keep the illusion alive. Every time you praised him for being generous or responsible, it was my money making him look good. I hear her crying now, soft and broken. Why didn't you tell me? Would you have believed me? The silence that follows is my answer. We both know she wouldn't have. Liam is her baby, her boy, her second chance after Dad died. I'm the responsible one, the one who doesn't need mothering. I'm so sorry, Marlo, she whispers. I never saw. I never let myself see. I know. Can you forgive me? I look out my kitchen window at the street below, at people coming home from work, living their ordinary lives, carrying their own invisible ledgers. Eventually. But not yet. I need some time. I understand. Can we have dinner? Just us? When you're ready? Maybe. I'll let you know. After we hang up, I realize I'm crying, but they're not sad tears. They're the tears you cry after a fever breaks, after poison is purged from your system. They're cleansing tears, the kind that clears space for something new to grow. Liam shows up at my apartment on Thursday evening, 3 days after I sent the spreadsheet. I'm in pajamas, grading essays on The Telltale Heart, which now seems absurdly on the nose given my current situation. I hear the knock and know immediately who it is. I consider not answering. But avoidance isn't my play anymore. I've hidden long enough. When I open the door, I barely recognize him. The Liam standing in my hallway isn't the manic optimist or the wounded martyr. He's deflated. The charm is gone, replaced by a pale, shaky desperation. He's holding the printed spreadsheet, dog-eared and marked up with pen. Can I come in? He asks. I step aside. He walks past me into my living room and stands there awkwardly, looking around as if seeing my apartment for the first time. Did you come to apologize for calling me selfish, Liam? I ask. Or just to complain about being held accountable? His head snaps toward me. For a moment, I see a flash of the old Liam, the one who would charm or manipulate or rage his way out of consequences. But it dies quickly. He looks down at the spreadsheet. Both, I guess, he says quietly. Sit down. He sits on my couch. I remain standing. I realize I'm taking a power position, something I learned about in a professional development seminar on classroom management. Stand while they sit. Control the physical space. I didn't know it was this much, he says, gesturing with the papers. You never asked. You just took. And you called me selfish for finally closing the vault. I never asked you to sacrifice so much, he says, and there's a flicker of defensiveness in his voice. Yes, you did. Every single time you called me with an emergency or an opportunity, you were asking me to do that. And you knew I would. You counted on it. That was the whole system. You fail, I catch you. You dream, I pay for it. You take credit, I stay silent. He's crying now, silent tears running down his face. Part of me wants to comfort him. That's the old programming, the deep groove worn by 20 years of being his emotional support system. But I stay where I am, standing, separate. I'm sorry, he says. Are you? Or are you just sorry you got caught? He looks up at me, and I see the moment he truly understands that the dynamic is dead. I am no longer his sister, the resource. I am a creditor. I am a judge. I don't know, he admits. Maybe both. At least he's honest. That's something. I want to make this right, he says. I want to pay you back. With what money, Liam? You just asked me for $5,000. Where exactly is this repayment coming from? I'll get a job. A real job, not a business venture. Stop. I hold up my hand. I don't want your money. The spreadsheet wasn't a bill. It was a mirror. I wasn't asking for repayment. I was asking you to see what you've done. To see what you've taken from me, not just in dollars but in years of my life. Then what do you want? He asks, and he sounds genuinely lost. I want you to understand that the bank is permanently closed. I want our relationship, if it continues, to run on a new currency, mutual respect. And currently, you are bankrupt. He stares at me, the papers still crumpled in his hands. I don't expect the money back, I continue. Consider it the cost of my emancipation. But understand this, there will be no more loans, no more bailouts, no more opportunities that require my funding. If you show up at my door asking for money, I will close the door. If you text me with an emergency, I will not respond. That's fair, he whispers. No, Liam. Fair would have been you respecting me enough not to call me selfish after I've funded your life for 15 years. This isn't fair. This is me finally choosing self-preservation over family obligation. He stands up, still holding the spreadsheet. Can I keep this? It's yours. I have the original. He walks toward the door, then stops. For what it's worth, I really did think the dog grooming thing would work. They always do, Liam. That's the problem. You never think about what happens when they don't. He leaves. The door clicks shut behind him, and I stand in my living room for a long moment, listening to his footsteps fade down the hallway. I expect to feel something dramatic, triumph, regret, vindication, guilt. Instead, I feel a profound, expansive silence, like the moment after a long, loud concert when your ears are ringing and the quiet feels almost sacred. The ghost of the $85,000, which had haunted me for years, has been exorcised. It was never about the money. It was about the power it represented. The power he had over me, the power to define my role, to assign my value, to take and take and take while I gave and gave and gave. And I have taken that power back. Over the next few weeks, my life settles into a new rhythm. It's the same routine: wake up, teach, grade papers, go home, but it feels different. Lighter. I'm not checking my phone every hour, bracing for the next crisis text from Liam. I'm not lying awake at night calculating whether I can afford to give him money and still make rent. Mom and I start having lunch together on Saturdays, just the two of us. At first, it's awkward. We don't talk about Liam, don't mention the spreadsheet, circle around the crater in our family like drivers avoiding a sinkhole. But gradually, we find our way to something new. She tells me about her life, her actual life, not just her worries about Liam. She asks about my teaching, remembers the names of my colleagues, wants to know about the house I'm saving for. "I'm proud of you," she says one Saturday over soup and sandwiches. "I don't think I've told you that enough." "Thanks, Mom. I was so focused on Liam, on worrying about him, that I forgot to see you. You were always so capable, so together. I thought you didn't need me. Everyone needs their mother. I'm here now. Better late than never. Better late than never." Liam, to his credit, stays away. I don't hear from him for 3 weeks, then a month, then 6 weeks. No texts, no calls, no emergency requests. At first, I'm suspicious, waiting for the other shoe to drop. But gradually, I accept that maybe he's actually trying to figure out his life without using me as a crutch. I hear through Mom that he got a job at a marketing firm, something entry-level but stable. He moved to a cheaper apartment to save money. He sold the dog grooming van at a loss. Small steps, but steps nonetheless. With the money I would have given Liam for the franchise fee, plus what I've saved over the months of not being his personal ATM, I do something I've fantasized about for years: I take a real vacation. Not a weekend trip, not a stay-at-home break, but a 2-week trip to Portugal. Lisbon, Porto, the Algarve coast. I go alone, which terrifies me at first, but becomes the point. I wander through tile-covered streets, eat pastries at tiny cafes, get lost in bookstores where I can't read the spines. I take a cooking class, go on a wine tour, spend an entire day at the beach reading novels that have nothing to do with 7th grade curriculum standards. I don't check my email. I don't feel guilty for spending money on myself. On my last night in Lisbon, I'm sitting at an outdoor restaurant overlooking the river, watching the sunset turn everything golden and pink. My phone buzzes with a text from one of my students, texting from her mom's phone: "Miss Chen. We miss you. Tommy said you're in Portugal? That's so cool." I smile and text back, then put the phone away and return to the sunset, to the wine, to the feeling of being exactly where I'm supposed to be, with no one else's crisis pulling me away from my own life. I return from Portugal on a Sunday. On Monday, I'm back in my classroom, tanned and refreshed and genuinely happy to see my students. They want to hear about my trip, and I tell them about the museums, the music, the literary history of the city. Sometimes, I tell them, you have to leave your comfort zone to figure out who you are when no one else is watching. Tommy raises his hand. Did you figure it out? I'm getting there, I say, and I mean it. At lunch, I check my phone. There's a text from Mom asking about dinner this Sunday. And below that, after a long pause, a message from an unknown number. Hi March. It's Liam. New number. I know you said I need to prove myself with actions, not words. So I'm not asking for anything. Just wanted you to know I'm still here, still working on my stuff. Got my 3-month chip from the sober program. Thought you'd want to know. No need to respond. I stare at the message for a long time. 3 months sober. That's significant. That's real. But I also know that recovery is full of false starts, that one chip doesn't erase 15 years of broken promises. I don't reply immediately. Instead, I save the number, file the information away, and return to my day. The boundary still stands. The bank is still closed. But maybe there's a possibility of something different emerging from the rubble. Not the old dynamic, which was poisonous and unsustainable, but something new. something reciprocal. But that's a story for another day. After school, I open my laptop and look at the spreadsheet one last time. I haven't updated it since the day I sent it. I've been keeping my finances in a different document, one that's only about my money, my goals, my future. I look at the final total, $85,247. That number used to feel like an anchor around my neck. Now it feels like a receipt for my freedom. Expensive, yes. But worth every penny. I create a new row at the bottom of the spreadsheet. In the date column, I write today's date. In the amount column, I write $0. In the purpose column, I write, final entry. Account closed. In the notes column, I pause, then type, this spreadsheet tracked 15 years of financial transactions. What it couldn't track, the cost of being invisible in my own family. The price of confusing self-sacrifice with love. The value of finally saying no. Those numbers are incalculable. But the lesson is priceless. Never again will I set myself on fire to keep someone else warm. The bank is closed. The ledger is balanced. My life is finally my own. I save the document, back it up to my cloud storage, and close my laptop. Through my classroom window, I can see my students heading to their next class, carrying their backpacks full of books and homework and all the weight of growing up. I think about what I'll teach them tomorrow, what lessons about voice and power and finding your own story. I think about how we teach people how to treat us, and how sometimes the most radical act of love is learning to love yourself enough to stop accepting less than you deserve. My phone buzzes again. It's Mom. Also, I looked into that house you showed me last month. The one near the park? It's still available. Want to go look at it together this weekend? I smile. The house. My house. The future I've been saving for, the life I've been deferring, the dream I've been financing for everyone but myself. Yes, I text back. Let's do it. I look around my classroom, at the posters about narrative arcs and character development, the student artwork pinned to the bulletin board, the stacks of books waiting to be read. I think about the hero's journey we teach every year, the ordinary world, the call to adventure, the refusal of the call, the crossing of the threshold, the ordeal, the reward, the return home transformed. I've been through my ordeal. I've faced my shadow, slain my dragon, found my treasure. And the treasure wasn't the money I lost or even the relationship I saved. The treasure was the person I became when I finally chose myself. The revenge is complete. It wasn't about hurting Liam or proving him wrong. It was about freeing myself from a story I never wrote but had been forced to live. I sent out the spreadsheet, my truth bomb, and in the rubble, I found the foundation of my own life, finally free to build something just for me. For the first time in 22 years, the future feels like my own. The ledger is balanced. The story is mine. Please like, comment, and share. If this is your first time watching my video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you'll be notified whenever I post a new story.